Welcome to the Harrisburg, PA Local Foods, Local Places Workshop. This is a recording of Day 2 on October 14th. Local Foods, Local Places is an EPA program supported by the USDA and other federal partners.
So welcome everybody to Day 2 of Local Foods, Local Places in Harrisburg. I just put a link. Some people might hear this a few times, so apologies if you do. I just put into the chat roll a link to action prioritization. So we'll get everybody caught up on what happened at Day 1. If this is your first session joining, welcome. We'll get you caught up on the program in just a little bit. But I do want to draw everyone's attention to that Google survey. It should just take you a few minutes and we'll give people a couple minutes to join soon. So welcome all. Megan, you want to say hi and introduce yourself?
Hi, this is Megan. There's not another one. Yeah. Hi, I'm Megan. I'm with the Salvation Army. I oversee our community health and nutrition department. So, yeah, I think I missed some of the meetings yesterday. I apologize about that. We have some stuff going on here, but hoping to hop in today and get caught up a little bit.
Yeah, glad you're on. No problem at all. And let's see, anybody else that is new today joining? Is anybody else new today? Good morning, George. Good afternoon, George. It is afternoon fully. You're muted, George. There you go.
Hi, good afternoon. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
See everybody.
Yeah, good to see others too. All right. So anybody else new today? All right.
Danelle's on, I see.
Yeah,
I know,
I'm
Danelle's
here.
on.
Hey, Danelle.
Hey, George.
Gary's on, Tannen's on. So let's have our steering committee. If you're on the steering committee, we'll just ask, well, actually just go ahead and ask everyone, just say their name and affiliation for a minute, and then we'll get started. So I'll just say your name and share your name and affiliation, and we'll get rolling. Danelle, we'll start with you.
Danelle Brown. I'm currently with Montgomery County OIC, but for this project, I'm, I hope Julie doesn't mind me saying representing, but Tri-County Community Action.
Great.
I mean, yes, Tri-County Community. Yes.
Glad you're on today. This is Christine Govey, Dialogue and Design Associates based in Central Virginia. Delighted to be with all of you again today. Will? I'm just going across my screen.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Will.
This is Will Cockrell with EPRPC. I'm helping Jessica and Christina out and part of the technical assistance team.
Great. Hey, Will. Jennifer.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jennifer Hirsch. I'm with EPA's Office of Community Revitalization.
Great. Thanks, Jennifer. Jessica.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jessica Dimmick with EPR in Charlottesville, one of the co-facilitators.
Great. Thanks. Jacob.
Hello, I'm Jacob Bowen. I'm with the City of Harrisburg Planning Department.
Great. Jeffrey.
Hey, this is Jeff Catano. I'm with USDA Rural Development, and I cover Southeast PA. I didn't say yesterday, so I'm local, Palmyra, Harrisburg, Lebanon area.
Great. Awesome. Thanks. Niles. Niles was here and then gone. We're going to come back to Niles. Julie, introduce just your name and affiliation.
Hi, Julie with Tri-County Community Action.
Also with the baby. Latasha.
Latasha Thomas with USDA Ag Marketing Services Division.
Glad you're on, Latasha. George.
Hi, George Payne with the Harrisburg Redevelopment Authority.
Great. Betty.
Betty Barnes with EPA Region 3, Philadelphia.
Great. Hey, Betty. Tannen.
Hey, Tannen with Wild Heart, Love the Hill, and also the South Allison Hill Residents Association, and Peer Bean.
Great. Thanks, Tannen. Megan. I know you went once. We'll just ask you to say your name and affiliation again.
That's fine. I'm Megan Zook. I'm the Community Health and Nutrition Coordinator for the Salvation Army Harrisburg on 29th Street.
Great. Welcome. Gary.
Hello, everyone. I'm Gary Gilliam, and I'm the CEO of the Bridge Eco Village. Nice to see everyone.
Where's Genesis?
She She's eating.
Ron.
Hi everyone, Ron Batcher, architect for the USDA Ag Marketing Service.
Carla.
Hi, USDA. I'm Carla Whalen, USDA Agricultural Marketing Service.
Great. Welcome, Niles.
Niles Lavin. I'm with Love Reforms Cooperative, and I am always in the neighborhood.
Awesome. Great. Sasha.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sasha Pokursky, and I'm an architect. I work with Ron at the USDA.
Great. Welcome. Kara.
Hi, I'm Kara Palat. I'm with the Health Resources and Services Administration in our Office of Regional Operations out of Philadelphia, covering Pennsylvania.
Great. Kara. Dylan.
Hello, I'm Dylan, and I am associated with the Bridge Eco Village, and I'm an intern with them.
Great. Hey there. Kelly.
Hi, my name's Kelly Marsico, and I have a small farm called Mary Flora Farm and Homestead.
Great. Welcome, Kelly. John.
Logan, Chief Operating Officer and General Counsel of Hamilton Health Center.
Great. Welcome, Tina.
I'm Tina Hornberger, resident.
Tina Nova.
I'm Nelva Wright, Health Officer, City of Harrisburg.
Great. Welcome again all. Did anybody not introduce themselves? All right. I am going to do a quick screen share here and turn it over to you, George, to welcome everyone again to day 2, and then over to Jennifer to welcome everyone officially. So George, over to you.
Okay, let me unmute. Okay, well, I want to welcome and thank everybody for joining us for LFLP. We had a really good 2 sessions yesterday going over 4 main goals, which Christine will go over again. And attendance was wonderful. The sharing was wonderful. And we're making progress and moving forward. And I really appreciate this this opportunity and this technical assistance. So back to you, Christine. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, George. And I'm going to pass it over to Jennifer to say hi to everybody.
Sure. Welcome again, everyone who is joining us again from yesterday, and welcome to anyone who's new today. We're really excited to be with you for our 2nd day and 3rd session. No worries if you weren't here yesterday. We'll be getting you up to speed rather quickly as we move through our exercises today. I learned a lot yesterday from all of you about Allison Hill and Harrisburg, and I think we'll continue to build upon all of that today as we, specify specific actions that we can pull together in a plan for you all to carry forward after the workshop. And the other thing I want to just reiterate is the workshop is just one step in this whole process. We've had a planning process to build here that we worked with the local steering committee on to define the 4 goals, but that after the workshop we'll have another opportunity for 3 additional meetings or calls that you're all welcome to join, and we'll be providing that information a little bit later. But so the process does not stop today with the workshop, and it will continue afterwards until we finalize the action plan for all of you. So just want to reiterate that, and again say thank you for giving your time today, and look forward to our conversations.
Great. Thanks, Jennifer. Appreciate that. So for folks who've just joined, as Jessica just put in the chat roll, there is a survey that's just going to be open for about 10 more minutes. We'll give you a chance to fill it out if you just need a few minutes to think in a moment. This is a prioritization of the actions for each goal that folks worked hard on last night during our session 2. So I want to encourage everybody to click on the link in the chat roll, pull it up in a new browser window if you haven't filled it out yet, or on your phone, and let us know what your thoughts are. We'll give you just a few minutes to take a look at that, and we will actually be closing that and sharing the results soon. Is anybody having trouble accessing that? All right. Will, Jessica, anything else you want to add before we get rolling? All righty. So here we are. I'm going to go. So we're session 3. We'll wrap up at 4:30 today, and we'll have a break. with our session 4 from 6 to 8 p.m. You're welcome to attend any of the sessions or all. We'd love to see you at each one. It's okay if you miss one. If you bring folks, that's fine as well. So again, if your kids are around, dogs, pets, food, all of that is welcome. No problem at all. Couple things in terms of our virtual space. If this is your first session, then we recommend, if you're able to use your screen share, it's nice to see people's faces. Mindful of your video. If you're in a place that you have low bandwidth, turning off your video actually will help free up bandwidth. And we do encourage you to stay muted if you're not speaking. So just make sure you mute and unmute yourself. Meeting guidelines. Don't be shy, but do be courteous. We have a lot of great ideas that we're excited to put details on the bones of the action, or excuse me, the goals today. Feel free to use the chat roll. You're welcome to raise your hand or just speak as we move forward, and then just step away as needed and take care of your own needs. You'll see a picture of Zoom there, but a couple things to be mindful of. There's a mute and unmute button that looks like a microphone. You can start and stop your video where the video icon is. We are recording the session today, so if you have any concerns with that, let us know. If you don't want us to share your contact information with other participants of this workshop only, please let us know that as well. We will be sharing both the slides, the recordings, and the registration list after the workshop today. So again, if you don't want to be on that list, just let us know. And then finally, we'll be using the chat roll today to share a couple different documents, primarily one Google document that we'll be working from today. If you have questions at any point or any technical difficulties, just let us know. And one of us can hop on the phone with you and just help walk you through whatever technical difficulty you're working on. So here we are, day 2, as we said. We've just done introductions already. And here is a link to the Google survey. Let's see. As we have, I'm going to pull up our steering committee list here. Many of those folks are on the line today. If anybody is not able, again, to access the Google survey, let us know. Will's just put his cell phone number in the chat roll. If you need any IT help, feel free to contact him. Right now we have 11 responses in the Google survey, and I'm just going to give people about 60 seconds of silence to either take a look at the names of the steering committee if you've already filled out the survey, or to go ahead and click on that link and enter your priorities. These again are ideas generated from the community last night during session 2, and we'll be using these ideas in our session 3 and 4 today. Any questions from anybody or difficulties accessing the survey? All right, so we'll give people just about a minute to fill that out if you haven't yet, and then you can let us know if you have any trouble accessing it. So Tannen has asked in the chat roll if I'll give a 30-second recap of how last night went. Yes, absolutely. And I'm going to give a quick recap of the program as a whole too, Tannen. I'm just giving folks a chance to just focus for a quick minute on the survey, then I'll do that. Thanks for bringing that up, Tannen.
Hey, I have a question that will help me fill out the survey a little bit better. Would you be able to just define food accelerator a little bit more in detail?
Yes, great question. So the goal 1 group will focus on this more. For purposes of our conversation today, think of it as one location where a bunch of different food-related businesses are co-located. So it could be a business, it could be, it would just be a place where maybe marketing, a shop, maybe restaurant, maybe some other related businesses are working in synergy together, but also serving as a hub for food. So there could be kind of an innovation aspect to it. And there's been a specific idea that goal 1 will talk about more specifically for both the Bridge Eco Village. It has some really cool ideas that they are working on getting up online, and out of the Brownfield area-wide plan last year, the Food Accelerator idea came up for the former Coca-Cola building, but that the group is not tied to that building. Did that answer your, it's a good question, Megan.
It did, great. Thank you so much.
Sure. All right, so just a little bit, if this is your first day of the program, first session, The Local Foods, Local Places program is a joint project of US EPA and USDA with other federal agencies participating. One of the great things about this program is we have a lot of tools and resources from federal partners to share with folks. If this is your first session, the best place to learn about those tools and resources will be in the recordings and the slides after the workshop, as well as these really awesome appendices that we share in the action plan. Tons of grants, tons of resources, and tons of links that we'll be sharing out with you. So now you have really great federal and state partners here to assist the community in realizing the action plan. The steering committee will be the steward of the action plan moving forward to actually do the implementation. So they are the folks who really thank the steering committee, and they are the ones who really be working on implementation in partnership with the community moving forward. And it's an iterative process. So some desired outcomes of the Local Foods, Local Places program are economic opportunities, access, revitalize downtown. Equity and justice, as we heard yesterday, has to be at the core, front, and center of the goals. And often end products are new connections. The action plan itself will have the goals and strategies to achieve the outcomes. And that's the focus of what we're going to be doing during session 3. And session 4 today is using the 4 goals that we introduced yesterday and then refined a little bit to actually develop strategies to implement those goals. So yesterday we heard a little bit in the first session about some ideas for this I believe statements about local food. And just briefly we heard local food can build economies, should be available in every neighborhood, and is needed to sustain longevity and access. We also heard about Harrisburg and South Allison Hill. Some folks shared in the chat roll that all parties need to have input. It needs to be a strong multicultural hub. And the community does not know its own strength. And so many communities find that, you have everything you need really within the community. It's just how do you make those connections often to make the ideas and action plan a reality. And you can see in the word cloud, a couple of the different major themes that came out: community, sustainable, economy, people, local. All of those are needed. Jessica also shared this really awesome social pinpoint map. Jessica, would you mind putting that link in the chat roll? We're not going to be doing the mapping today, but Social Pinpoint is something that's available for the community for the next year. You can move and drag and drop those different pins around in locations, and that will be a tool as you move forward with the action planning process. So here are the 4 goals for the LFLP process and what we're going to be focusing on today. As folks heard yesterday, let's see. So Tana, you asked about how session 2 went yesterday. Session 2 was great. It was, we had a good, difficult, meaningful, thoughtful conversation with a group of about 10 people in between session 1 and session 2. And that group really helped hone in and focus on a couple core things. I gave this update at the beginning of session 2 yesterday, focusing on youth engagement, outreach, education, focusing on really equity and justice was the core of that conversation, and how equity and justice can lead the way forward across the 4 goals. But for example, how can outreach take place as part of an action of all 4 goal strategies in a way that is representative of what, where people are. So meeting people where they are for outreach, going to people for outreach, for example. Community members generated ideas across all the 4 actions, all the 4 goals, and that's what you'll see in the survey. So the 30-second update is it was a good, productive session last night. Folks worked hard and were tired by the end of it. Anything else folks want to add about session 2 that I might have missed? All right.
Yeah, let me just chime in a little bit. I think, some of the conversation between session 1 and 2 was just really talking about the fact that we try to outreach, but the reality is a lot of the owners of restaurants and bodegas and some of the key stakeholders are not really on this call. And this is just the beginning, but we want to make sure that happens and keep them central. But then how do we move forward? We can only speak with our voice and not necessarily theirs. And then the other, we talked about the whole food accelerator and the bridge and the eco village. Really, we'll get into more of that, as we go through all the goals and wonderful things that are being done over at McDevitt.
Thanks, George. Anybody else want to add anything from yesterday? Any other highlights from session 2? All right, so here's where we're headed today. I see that there's
Christine,
one
sorry
person
to
asking.
interrupt. This is Jessica. I saw in the responses that Kelly Marsico had a couple of thoughts from last evening's session that she wasn't able to share. So at some point, whether it's now or in a little bit, I know she wanted to share her thoughts with the group.
Okay. Kelly, do you want to share those in the small group around a specific goal, or would you like to share them with the large group?
I can quickly share those with the large group because I'm not exactly sure what goal they fall into. It's actually all 4 of them, I believe.
Okay.
So as a small farm owner, I was really, really happy to hear about the food accelerator and possibly having this commercial kitchen available to community members, because this is something that I've struggled with as a small farmer, you know, having value added products that will be approved by the Department of Ag. So something that I am really excited about utilizing this. And I also believe that this is an amazing opportunity for people in the community. So my thoughts are, so I was part of the Allison Hill Farmers Market, and there's such a diverse, beautiful, amazing cooks in that South Allison Hill area. And I know that there's probably kimchi's and salsa verde and, you know, spicy collard greens. And I would love to see that those things could be produced in a commercial kitchen and then sold by the individuals who made them. And I'm thinking now, it's, you know, it's not a huge profitable thing, but it really, really makes a difference for, you know, back to school supplies or Christmases or holidays and things of that. Because as a small farmer myself, I know that when I do value added things, it really, it can bring in a little bit of an income that can help push you through a hard time. So I really would love to be part of kind of in that project. Having, you know, since I was at the market, I met a lot of people in the neighborhood and starting to speak with them and perhaps gathering their interest. And then either they have that in their own community garden, the produce, or we would, you know, have a collaboration between another farmer and those people. And then perhaps with Penn State, with the food safety and the food entrepreneur that Brian talked about last night, and the Salvation Army with the canning, and bringing all those things together, that, you know, these things could be sold at the farmer's market, or they could be sold at the bodegas, or just like a church bazaar. You know, it's not going to be a lot of money, but it's something that's very micro that could make a huge impact in some, particularly probably some women's lives. And there's a lot of neat seed diversity in that community with the different greens. So this is like really like nitty gritty, getting into speaking with the people who are living right in that neighborhood and talking to them about the food that they produce, and then having them perhaps want to cook this food for others. I know that I'd be very interested in, you know, buying these things. I don't have time to do all the canning and all the things that I need to do. So, yep, that's kind of what I wanted to say, and it was a lot. I'm sorry if I took up too much time.
That was great, Kelly. You know, a lot of what you shared is reflective of what we heard. So I want to invite people, if Kelly is not able to go to your small group, but you heard that idea, feel free to bring it forward. We're taking notes as well. And as Jennifer mentioned earlier, we'll be able to add additional action items. So if it doesn't happen, you know, Kelly, if you're in a small group and you think it should go also with goal 1, but you're not able to go, then feel free to add, you know, send it to us and we'll add it for those 3 post-workshop calls that Jennifer mentioned, where we'll continue to refine the action plan. But we do have them now, and I love it. You know, the value-added products, the seeds, making connections with, residents in South Allison Hill to be able to generate a little bit of extra income, selling at the farmers market and bodegas. Great ideas across the board. So thank you, Kelly, for those. All right, any other highlights from yesterday before we look at the survey results? All right, so first, anybody else who's joined the call who hasn't said their name and affiliation yet? We might have had. Arian, did you join?
Hi, I did.
I hear a little echo. Sometimes that comes if you have two devices
There's two of us
on.
on this call together, so it's just
Okay, got it.
Yeah, there's feedback. I'm Arian. I'm volunteer with Harrisburg Urban Growers and Love Reforms. So
great, welcome back.
Thank you.
Anybody else need to introduce themselves? Okay, so with that being said, last call for any votes in the survey. We're getting ready to share the results. This is where we're headed. Some of you have seen this before, some of you haven't. This is what one of the small group action items will look like. So this is where we're headed in the small groups. There'll be 4 goals, and we're going to ask you which goal you'd like to work on in just a few moments. And we're going to ask you to rename yourself with which goal you'd like to work on. If you hover over your image or your box on Zoom, you'll see 3 dots. If you click on that, you can rename yourself. We can also rename you as well. So we're going to be asking which of the 4 goals in just a little bit, and we'll give you time to do this, you'd like to focus on. We'll be going into 4 different breakout sessions, and you'll have a lot more time to share ideas, take a look at the priorities, and we'll share what that looks like. So that's where we're going to be headed. I am going to share the results of the poll now, of the survey. All right. Hang on just one second. All right, so here we have 15 responses. And what we're going to do as a facilitation team, Jessica and Will are actually going to be sharing or including the results of this prioritization in the Google Doc. And we're going to explain what all of that means soon. So if you haven't had a chance to share your ideas, you will be able to in your small groups. So this is just a snapshot. This is kind of a temperature taking for folks of the ideas that were generated last night, what the greatest priorities are. In your small group, you'll have a chance to share new ideas as well as reprioritize. At the end of this session, what our desired outcome is just a set of 3 to 5 top action items to work on for each goal. So we're going to just walk through what the priorities are now. This will be part of your information for your small group discussion and decision-making process, but this does not mean that these have to be the priorities that your group focuses on. So for goal 1, I'm just going to share them out loud. Action 1, so folks, just bear with us for a second here. Action 1 has 7 votes. Action 2, 2 votes. Action 3, 3 votes. Jessica and Will, are you doing okay here so far? Great. 4 has 6 votes. 5 has 10 votes. So we can see that action 5 is the highest here so far. 6, 2. Action 7, 1. Action 8, 0. Action 9, 6. And you'll be able to see all these results in your small groups. Action 10, 1, action 11, 5, action 12, 2, and action 13, 1. All right, for goal 2, action 1, 12, 2, 3 has 3 votes, 3 has 3 votes. Action 4 has 1 vote, 5 has 5, 6 has 7 votes, 7 has 5 votes. 8 has 2 votes, 9 has 2 votes, 10 has 2 votes, 11 has 0 votes, 12 has 4 votes. Good to go so far?
I was going to ask, could you repeat with goal 1, number 10, 11, 12, and 13?
Sure. 10 is 1, 2 is 5, 11 is 5, 12 is 2.
Wait, so 11 is 5. Sorry, my computer's going super slow. 12 is 2, and then 13?
1.
Great. Okay, thanks.
1. Yep, great. Are we good to go on goal 2? Great. Goal 3, you want me to run through them? Okay, goal
I've got
3.
goal 3, but if you want to read it off, you can.
Yeah. So I'll just read it off. And again, folks, you'll see what these priorities are in your small groups. 1 is 5, 2, action 2 is 6, 3 is 3, 4 is 3, action 5 is 8, 6 is 3 votes, 7, 3 votes, and 8 is 5 votes. And lastly, goal 4, action 1, 3 votes, action 2, 1 vote, action 3, 3 votes. Action 4, strong number, 9 votes there. Action 4, 3 votes. Action 6 is 5 votes. Action 7 is 0. Action 8 is 2 votes. Action 9, 8 votes. Action 10, 2 votes. Action 11, 2 votes. And action 12, 3 votes. We good to go? Anything we missed there? All right, great. So, thank you. So thanks everyone also for sharing your thoughts. Let's see. All right. In our small groups, I'm going to go ahead. Jessica, could you go ahead and put the Google Doc for the small groups into the chat roll, please?
Yep.
Great. All right. So what we're going to ask is for each of you to rename yourselves. And if you're not able to rename yourself, we'll go around and get your names in a minute, which goal you'd like to focus on. And we'll let you know what we're going to do in our small groups. So goal 1 is around developing the food hub or food accelerator. Goal 2 is improving access to and demand for fresh nutritional food. Goal 3, expand and increase resources, training, and support. And goal 4 is to create an ethnic restaurant row in South Allison Hill. So we're going to actually ask you again to use that rename function, and then we'll go around and see who we might be able to help out rename themselves to add which number you'd like to work on next to your name. We might have to redistribute folks a little bit, so we have people in each of the groups, and federal partners and state partners, I'd ask you to actually spread yourselves across the groups a little bit. If you're torn between 2 different groups, you can say goal 2 and goal 3, and we'll put you, one or the other, with you. And lastly, you're welcome to work on a different goal during our session 4 later this evening. So again, if you can either click on participant, the list itself to rename yourself, or you can rename yourself with the number that you'd like to work on, and we'll see who we need to help rename in just a little bit here. So I see Megan is put at the beginning. That's perfect. So just again, 1, 2, 3, or 4, which goal you'd like to work on. So again, this is what we're going to be working in a shared Google Doc again. Jessica put the link in our chat roll. So all of you are welcome to pull it up in a new browser window. So if you click on that link, you are going to be actually scrolling down to the goal that you'd like to work on. So we have all the actions from last night together in one spot. And this is where we're headed towards session 4 after this. This evening, we're going to be, again, putting details around each of the action, the prioritized action items. To do that, so if you were at session 2 last night, you heard this, but it's key, it's important. So in your small group, you might say, the priorities that folks chose in that survey sound completely right on to me. Let's focus on those and let's get to it. Or you might say, no, we're really missing some key action items here. So if you come up with new action items in your small group, that's welcome. But what we ask is a few things. Please make sure it's a complete sentence. Please make sure it starts with a verb. We're going to ask you to be specific. Think in the near to midterm. So 6 months to 2 years. Does it help advance a goal? And who is the action for? Who might need to be involved? So we're going to invite you to get specific. So if you might say the Hamilton Health Center, well, who at the Hamilton Health Center? Is it the director? Is it a staff member? If it's a grant, do you know who might have a connection with a grant or a program officer? If it's a specific bodega, which bodega? Does anybody speak, have a strong relationship to actually do outreach? So try to think specifically and think about actions that you can help with. We're gonna ask that you put 1 action per box. So you can see a couple examples on the screen of what the different actions might look like. So To recap, before we break up into the small groups, just to kind of some larger recap items. We're going to be doing the breakout discussion to add additional goals, actions, and reprioritize. And if, again, everybody's on the same page for the top priorities, then you might start getting into detailing. We're going to ask you to rename yourself with the goal that you're most interested in. And this part of the action planning process is really critical. It's completely key because this is going to be where we start to hear what is most important to the community to realize, why each action is important, who needs to be involved. So this is a really key part of the workshop, this session and the next one. And we're really glad that each of you are here and taking the time. Again, if you are including an acronym, please spell it out the first time it's used so we know what you mean later. So spelling out acronyms is really key. And you might decide to merge a couple action ideas together. So if you say that action is great, but it needs some additional details, then your facilitator is going to be working with you to add those details. So Will, Jessica, Jennifer, anything else you want to add before we break people out into the small groups? We're going to ask, if folks have questions, we'll welcome those, but technical assistance team, anything else you want to add to the process or about action items?
I'll just reiterate that the goal of this session right now is to determine what are those top priority actions. And we will have time in the next session starting at 6 o'clock to work through the details. If everyone is sort of in agreement and good with the language of the prioritized actions and can agree upon what those can be, you can go ahead and start filling out the details. But know that we will have time, and that's what the next session will be focused on too.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Jessica. That was really helpful. Jennifer, Will, anything else you'd like to add? All right, is there anyone new who's joined who's not introduced themselves yet with name and affiliation? And community member is great too if that's your affiliation.
Yeah, this is Gloria Merrick.
Hi, Gloria.
Hi.
Can you introduce yourself? Hey there.
Hi, and I'm the Executive Director of the Latino Hispanic American Community Center in Allison Hill. We've been there since 2010. And we are a provider of basic human needs services to the community, including food, shelter, emergency needs. And right now we're currently feeding about 250. Yesterday we fed 270 families. We had 270 families come in for food, various types of food and fruit and so forth that has been donated to the center. And so, I had received a call to, because of how much, what we do in terms of providing food, nutrition, education, and fulfilling the needs of the community. I had been asked to consider being a part of this. I mean, I had a lot of demands on my time, just like everybody else. So, I'm all for being a team player and seeing how I can provide input on behalf of the Latino Hispanic American community, whose nutritional and food desires and whose cooking and customs and cultural customs are very much different than typically within the Allison Hill community, and so or even Harrisburg for that matter. So I'm here to just listen and to see how I can help. I've been a senior consultant in government for about 30 years. My expertise is in organizational management and program design, development, and implementation. So I'm just here to see what I can do to help.
Great, Gloria. I'm so glad you're on for so many reasons. I do want to mention again that the steering committee calls after the workshop are open to everyone. So if you'd like to join those, let us know. Gloria, just based on what you said, I know time is so precious these days, especially. So if you or anybody else has an interest in joining the steering committee or those post-workshop calls, we welcome it. As well as if you have specific ideas for how to implement the goals or actions that don't come out of the workshop today, we welcome it. There are a number of different ways that outreach can happen that might be considered. So this workshop is not the only way that goals and actions can be considered or implementation. So thank you, Gloria. Anybody else who's not introduced themselves yet before we get ready to break into small groups?
This is Lynn Kirschenbaum from HUD. I was on yesterday, but I just joined today.
Great, welcome, Lynn. Anybody else? All right, so Jessica has put again the 4 goals in the chat roll. We're going to be again breaking out into 4 different breakout rooms. And if you haven't been on a breakout room in Zoom before, it's pretty cool. It is almost like being in person, but not quite yet. We will open up the breakout rooms in a little bit. Will says not quite. No, it is. There, okay, good. So you'll actually leave this space. You'll leave the main room and you'll go to a new, it'll look almost just like this, but it'll just be with a smaller group of people. Go ahead and open up the Google Doc that's again in the chat roll. Maybe Jessica, if you could pop it in one more time, our active friend in the chat roll there. Open up that Google Doc. That's going to be the same space that everyone is working in. Scroll down to the goal area that you'd like to work on. And then you'll have time, your facilitator is going to walk you through the process in our small groups. Then we'll come back together and have time to report out. We're hoping community members will report out on behalf of the small groups. We're going to come back at about 3:50, 3:55, something like that. So Will is going to be with group 1. Will, have you renamed yourself yet?
Oops, I didn't.
We got you there. Gotcha. So I renamed myself the wrong goal. That's not what you want to do. I am with goal 3. So Will is going to be facilitating goal 1 around a food accelerator. I'm going to be facilitating group 3. Jessica is going to be facilitating group 2, and Jennifer will be facilitating group 4. So you can see what the different goals are in a moment on the screen. And then we're going to double check and make sure we have everybody's correct renaming and which goal you'd like to work on. So let's see here. Again, if you want to work on 2 different goals, if it doesn't really make a difference to you, feel free to include both on your renaming, and we'll put you into the different groups because we want to have somewhat even distribution of folks across the goals. So Gloria, which goal would you like to focus on between the 4?
Well, primarily 2, and if possible, providing some input into 3.
Okay, great. The other thing I mentioned earlier is people are welcome to switch goals later. So if you're able to join later and want to hop onto goal 3, that's welcome. So, all right, great. Ron, Carla, Lynn. Dylan, how about you? Has Dylan?
Yes, I'd like to be in group 2 and for goal 2.
Okay, great. All right. Jessica, are you doing this? Should I stop doing it?
I can rename folks as they say.
Okay, that sounds great. So John, how about you?
What's goal 1? I'm trying to figure out how to do that.
You can just tell us. We'll rename you.
1.
Goal 1. Okay, great. Okay. Kara, how about you? Kara, can you hear us? All right. How about Kelly? Which one would you like to be? 3, I see, great. Nelva?
Goal 1, please.
1, great. Sasha, I think we'll have you go to 4. Thanks for your note. And we'll have Ron go to 1. So it looks like we have...
Sorry, Christine, I had unmuted myself, but I'm actually for another meeting. So I would rather, but good luck, everyone.
Okay, thanks, Kara, appreciate it. It looks to me like we have fairly good distribution across the goals. Okay, it looks pretty good to me. Jessica, do you see any changes we need to make in terms of?
Not at the moment, although if once we get into our breakout rooms, if any one of us as facilitators feel like we're a little unbalanced, we will text you, Christine, and let you know.
That sounds great. Okay, that sounds great. So we'll stay, I think, just looking at the time, probably until 4 o'clock in the small groups, 4 o'clock-ish, maybe 4:05. So feel free to send me a text message, facilitators, if you need more or less time. No problem. That'll be about 45 minutes in the groups. Any questions from anyone before we open up the breakout rooms? Any questions about the process, where we're headed, or what we're up to? All right. So I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. It's going to take just a moment to create the breakout rooms. And at the end of the breakout rooms, you'll see a place, you'll see a message that will come up that I'll broadcast that will say 60 seconds to come back, and then you can accept to come back into the main space, and we'll report out. Any questions from anyone before we get ready to go into our breakout rooms? All right, so just getting ready to assign. It'll take just a second. All right, almost ready. If anybody has any trouble, just let me know by the chat roll. I should still be able to see the chat roll as we're moving forward. Betty, how about you? A specific goal you want to work on? Yeah, I'm going to put Betty into 4. All right, I'm going to open the rooms up now. You'll need to accept it and have a great conversation. Everyone, we'll see you back at about 4:05. So thanks, everybody. See you soon. Everybody, I hope you had a good discussion in your groups. Really appreciate everyone's time. We had a great discussion in goal 3. We're going to have about 2 minutes, 3 minutes per goal area to share ideas. And then when we come back, for those of you who are able to join, when we come back at 6 o'clock, we'll continue to put the action details together. So we're going to start out with goal 4, since we started with goal 1 yesterday for sharing ideas. So it would be great to hear from someone in goal 4 just about what your discussion points were. I am sharing my screen, so let me know if you'd like for me to go to a different slide. Everybody can see my screen okay? Great, awesome. All right, goal 4, Jennifer, who's reporting out for your group?
So Jacob has sort of voluntold.
Okay, great.
But
So
anyone is welcome to join in. I don't know, Jacob, where you want her to go. I mean, it might be helpful if you go to the action table. But
yeah, I think that one that we kind of finalized. Yeah, that one.
Yeah,
Perfect.
here.
Great. So we have just 2 minutes per goal. So Jacob, you have 120 seconds or less. So go for it.
All right, no pressure.
No pressure.
So what we ended up with, we kind of wanted to focus on some of the things that had a lot of votes. So the first thing we talked about was engaging restaurants and other stakeholders in Allison Hill to discuss the idea for an ethnic row restaurant. So we kept stakeholders kind of broad. That could be, you know, restaurant owners, property owners, etc., whatever we think to come up with. The second one, we wanted to establish a marketing and branding effort for the ethnic restaurants that are already there, working closely with the existing restaurants and members of the community. And this would be to help the perception of some of the safety concerns in the community as well, to try to get more customers in to the restaurant. The third thing we really highlighted was have vacant storefront space be used as a low or no rent space for food entrepreneurs who are going through an incubator program. So that was something kind of new we came up with in discussion. And another one, the last one, was also something kind of a work in progress that we sort of came up with, was explore streetscape improvement in and around Restaurant Row to promote pedestrian safety and walkability.
So very clear actions, Jennifer.
Just to note, the last two, sorry, I was a little distracted there for a second, but the last two were new action items. There was just some discussion about whether, physical design improvements to the streetscape essentially, or, the use of the vacant storefronts would help, draw people to the restaurants and, improve their business opportunities. So
Great work, goal 4, across the board. Any questions for goal 4 from anyone? You welcome your ideas in the chat roll, or if anyone has questions now, feel free to share them from anybody. Tannen's giving some hand claps. Round of applause for goal 4. Great work. All right. Awesome. Very clear. Last call, Tannen really likes the reaction buttons. All right. Great. Awesome. So good work, goal 4. All right. So we're going to move on to goal 3. Up a little bit higher. So Tannen, can you just say what the goal is for goal 3? And then we had the old actions, new actions, and then prioritized and grouped actions. So Tannen, over to you.
Yeah, so goal 3 was to expand and increase resources, training, and support for local food growers and food entrepreneurs. And we kind of took all the previous suggestions and made sure that they aligned very specifically with the phrasing of goal 3. So as far as expanding and increasing resources, that's where we wrote inventorying what existing resources, vacant lots, community kitchens, whatever. Like basically, we got to find out what's going on in order to figure out how do we expand or increase those things. So previously there'd been mention about the Joshua Farm and different things, and so it's kind of just broadening that idea. We also talked about training, and I think that once we discover what resources we have, what potential opportunities are there, it helps us understand what type of training is actually needed to see those things come to pass within the community as well. Some of that's kind of summarized in that third action set that we put about a complete assessment of the urban ag needs and opportunities. And some of that goes into just like finding out like more comprehensive rather than thinking about it as far as very insular to the hill, like as a city, what's going on, where are things at. We did talk a lot about so much of the opportunity that we have to build something is only going to be built upon a foundation of things that have worked, because we have had a lot of things not work. So it's kind of learning from those lessons and changing what we need to do in order to accommodate that. And then I think the biggest piece for support, what we've also noticed is that unfortunately, the experience of the community has kind of been like only the strong survive. And I think that's one of the reasons why we haven't seen too many things succeed. And so if having and identifying a champion or a grant writer, or somebody who's really dedicated and committing to helping to support the ongoing efforts of building what we're going for, I think can be crucial, so that we don't have to rely so much on the typical silo experience of people having to do everything on their own.
Great report out. Anything else from goal 3, from participants in goal 3 you'd like to add? Or any questions for goal 3?
Oh, I guess I will just chime in real quick. And that last thing that was thrown on there was just saying that, like, we feel like being and staying focused is going to be absolutely key to seeing goal 3 come to pass, because there's just so many new, cool, trendy, amazing things we could do, but it's going to be just key. And I think that goes for all of us as we're all exploring what we're doing. It's just really committing to what it is that we're saying we're going to do.
All right, so we're at the halfway point. I encourage you to exercise your arms and give goal 3 and 4 a clapping round of applause. Excellent work so far. Snaps work too. All right.
Hey, Christine.
Yes, go for it.
So I don't know if this is the right place to mention this, but there was some discussion in our group about the idea about creating a community or commercial kitchen, and whether or not that I think there was some discussion in our group about whether or not it was better suited to another goal, perhaps goal 3, because it was tied a little bit to providing culinary training and job training. And so I just want to kind of throw that out there, put that out there, that because that was one of the ones that did receive a lot of votes through the survey. But I think our group felt it wasn't quite about creating an ethnic restaurant row.
Okay, that's helpful. Did any other goals focus on a culinary commercial kitchen idea?
Yeah, goal 1, the food accelerator.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so let's go to goal 2 and then goal 1. Sound good? All right, so headed up to goal 2. Who's reporting out for goal 2?
Great. This is Jessica. So Megan or Gloria or others, would you all like to speak to this? Who would like to talk about what we talked about?
Hello, this is Gloria. I mean, I didn't realize you were looking for a spokesperson from each one, but I'm
sorry, I didn't give any.
That's all right.
We didn't talk about that. I apologize.
But I'll need everyone else to kind of chime in here because I didn't really take copious notes as far as that's concerned. But I can say that we pretty much selected 4 areas that we wanted to focus on. And those areas included, well, do you want me to first go over how that paragraph, how we summarized that, Jessica, and how we combined? Okay, sure. So we thought that we would stick with the inventorying of the nutritional gardening educational programs that are currently out there, who's doing what. We have the food bank doing some things, and there are a lot of other entities out there doing some things. So we kind of need, again, in keeping with what Taylor was saying, I think you do always have to start with an inventory of what's already out there. So we talked about that. What are the programs already out there? What are their target populations? What are the demographics that they're focused on? What are their program goals? And then we talked about, then also on the flip side of that, where are the locations within Allison Hill that could then begin to work with those programs, kind of see where the gaps are. So in other words, we would do some focus groups within the community of Allison Hill with some of the stakeholders, and we would find out, you know, where are the gaps? Why aren't people going to what's already out there, what already exists? Are they transportation issues? Are there language barriers? You know, are there other accessible issues? Are there other things that we're not aware of? So we kind of inventory, we take that and we see, okay, how do we take what's already out there and how do we tweak that, or how do we customize it so that we can keep that program somewhat intact and see how it applies to Allison Hill? Because what works in Unity Deposit, Colonial Park, and all these other areas that a lot of these organizations are promoting to isn't necessarily what's going to work with the residents in Allison Hill. So we talked a little bit about that. And then seeing where are those organizations likewise within Allison Hill that could be tapped as an additional stakeholder where some of the trainings and some of the educational outreach and so forth could take place, such as the Latino Center, such as the Bridge, such as, and we don't know what all of them are. So we said we'd have to take inventory of where these sites would be. And so then we would identify where the gaps are. Where are the gaps? And then we can say, well, you know what? This program can accommodate, but it needs to be tweaked, customized. However, from our focus groups, we learned there's something missing. What is missing? And so then that's where we decide, do we need to create something new? So then we wanted to salvage that whole component that we thought was really important on gardening and helping people to kind of become self-sufficient in relation to their own health care and food nutrition. And so we think that is really, that was our number 5. So we didn't want to lose sight of it. So we built it into this, where perhaps a component of the education and outreach and working with the students and the partnership with the school becomes, and the training, that gardening component can be part of a training curriculum or a training program. And did I miss anything there, Jessica or Megan or Dylan, Natasha?
Did we talk about the bodegas?
We talked about that at the end very, very briefly.
We kind of focused our discussion. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Gloria.
so the 4 areas we focused on real quickly were what I just talked about, utilizing the schools and partnering with the schools. Then we also spent a lot of time talking about the community health workers that are already out there funded by the United Way, and they're already doing outreach in regards to health and wellness. We definitely should look at those as a nugget in the community that we can then partner with all of those community health workers out there. Didn't get into too much about the how-to, but that we definitely should consider them. And I'm missing one more. I got the partnership with school, the community health workers, there's one piece. What was the fourth one? We selected.
We talked about seniors.
Oh, and then we also
gardening.
Yeah, and when you're talking about gardening, we thought it was really important because we're trying to encompass as much of our diverse community as we possibly can, but not only from a diversity perspective, but also from a participant and segment perspective. So there's different segments of the community. You've got your elderly, you have the youth, you have the families, and then you have the individuals. So how do we target to those particular segments? And so we thought that by capturing those 4 areas that we chose and including the gardening piece, we would not only be covering what's important in regard to food and nutrition, but we would be covering the needs of the 4 different segments. So the last thing that in relation to that was the elderly. And we feel that we can't lose sight of the elderly, so we have to make sure that we do include something on gardening, because I was mentioning that I know Dickinson College had come to us and did a study with our seniors, and then they went to Japan and did a comparison study between the seniors in the Latino community and the seniors in Japan and also the Black community. They went to another location, the Heinz Menaker Center. And one of the outcomes of that was that one of the reasons why the elderly, the people live so long, they have such a longevity in Japan, one of the critical outcomes was agriculture and gardening. Mm-hmm. So I think that is something that would really help to keep our seniors, living longer in the community.
Great. Thank you, Gloria. I know we're at our time and we need to get to goal 1, and Will has another call at 4:30, you just said. So that was awesome report out for goal 2. Is there anything else for goal 2 that's important to add? All right, let's give some snaps or claps or Zoom reactions for goal 2. Awesome. If folks need to drop off, no problem at all. Who is in goal 1 that can report out? I think Will had to drop. Who wants to report out for goal 1? Goal 1. You might not have had a chance to talk about who's reporting out. I know Niles is in goal 1. Anybody else want to report out for goal 1?
George?
Oh, sorry, I have to unmute myself. Okay, yeah, I'll talk about goal 1.
It's about 2 minutes, George.
Yeah, could you show the Google slide for it, please? I'll just read from there.
You're at the table here?
Yeah. Basically, I think there was a lot of talk about, number 1, comparing the Bridge Eco Village and the Food Accelerator concept to make sure we understand where the best intersection is that's profitable for profitable and meaningful. Don't want to duplicate what's going to happen or what is happening. So those are a lot of the discussions that went on. Let's talk about the commercial kitchen. There's still some site-based issues. There's a lot of things that are going to be happening at the Eco Village, but still may need to happen in other sites throughout the city, including South Thousand Hill. Perhaps a commercial kitchen because of the walkability issue for a lot of the restaurants that are already there, as an example. So that's what number 4 is, examining potential satellite locations, spike and hub sort of things. Really, main talk is also about how do we resource the smaller scale and the apartments, the people that grow in the backyards and want to have a market, the Harrisburg urban growers, and also surrounding farmers with, how can we, can we plan so that there is intersection of different the different things that are being grown, like things at the Eco Village will be, certain mainstream crops that are year round, but then things that are grown locally in people's backyards as well as in local farmers, around are very different. Can we have an aggregation that's profitable and makes sense and that utilizes both the mass scale year-round production and things like that, and talk about a farmer's market. Where's the best place to place a satellite farmer's market? So that's it. 2 minutes.
Good job, George. All right, goal 1. Awesome. Anything else for goal 1? Round of applause, clap, thumbs up, all the good things. Anything else? Any questions for goal 1?
This is Gloria. I just wanted to say real quick, I like their idea of the kitchen. I really like that. I do know that there are other places in Allison Hill that have kitchens. We have a kitchen at the Latino Center. We thought about doing something with that. And there are a lot of local churches that have kitchens there in Allison Hill.
Great. That's helpful. Goal 3 talked about that too. Taking a look at what's out there in inventory now. So tremendous work across the board, across all 4 goals to identify prioritized actions. So great work, everyone. We are going to reconvene at 6 o'clock. If you are not able to join us at 6 o'clock, that is not a problem. We will, just a quick reminder, be opening up the steering committee meetings to folks, and we'll share that information after by email. So hopefully you can see. I'm not going to pull it up. So we start in 90 minutes. So again, you're welcome to bring your kids, bring your dinner, whatever works for you. For our last session, you're welcome to stay in the same goal area or go to a different goal area. If you're not able to join and you want to email us actions or details for specific actions or questions, we welcome that too. We want to thank everyone for your time today. Really great work across the board. We're going to stay on for a couple minutes. If anyone has any questions or feedback, you're welcome to stay on. Otherwise, thank you for your time today. We'll see many of you back at 6 o'clock, and enjoy your dinners as you refresh and refuel. And again, we'll stay on for a little bit, and we'll also leave the Zoom link open. It'll be the same link. Hello to kiddos who are joining. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you in a little while. Take care. Bye. All right. Jessica and Jennifer, do you want to hop over into a breakout room real quick? Does that sound okay? All right. I'm going to pause our stop share.
Works for me. Yeah.
Awesome.
Nitty gritty now. And now's the time to really roll up your sleeves and put in the hard work. So it might be an intense 2 hours. Stay with us. But at the end of this, you have an action plan that spells out exactly how you're going to move forward. So hang in there. It's worth it, I promise.
And at the same time, if there are some actions in your group that might happen at the same time, we want to welcome that. So it may be that some actions might sound kind of similar. I know my goal, some of them might sound a little similar, and it's okay to have both of those at the same time because we'll continue to have time. So for example, develop an inventory. We're going to need to probably tease that out a little bit more after today in the post-workshop planning calls. So we don't have to get it perfect because you as a community, again, the steering committee is going to be the group moving this forward to implement the action plan. And again, we welcome your participation on that. So this is not the only chance, but if there are actions that, are kind of similar, we welcome that too. Will, Jennifer, anything else you want to add about our process today?
I'll let Jennifer go first. Or
I don't think I have much more to add. I guess just trust the process and hopefully, we'll make a lot of progress tonight. So no, I don't have much more to add.
I'll just add on top of what Jessica said. Everything she said was right. Sometimes when you're doing the action tables, sometimes people could feel down that they haven't filled out every single cell. But remember, we are going to have, the steering committee will have 3 more calls after this. And that is open and you're welcome to attend those. And we have those dates. I think Christine had those listed, which I'll show them again. This is the culmination of the workshops. There's still a lot of work to be done. And these follow-up calls, the next 3, and really fine-tuning these tables. And with everyone involved, if we have you listed as a lead or support, going to be following up with you after this workshop and making sure that you stay engaged with this.
George, steering committee members, anything else you'd like to add?
All right. Hold on, I have to unmute myself.
were unmuted. You just muted yourself.
Yeah, George, you just muted again. Did you want to unmute yourself again? Is George frozen too? Oh no, George is gone. All right, so there's George. George, can you? There you are. You want to unmute, George?
Yeah, I apologize. I was trying to.
That's okay.
Anyway, here I am. Anything to add? No, I really encourage everybody to join in the post-action steering committee, because we're going to have to drive this forward. And I'm excited. I'm excited to actually make this concrete and to get moving. There's been a lot of planning happening in South Allison Hill, and everybody wants to move from planning to action. So I'm excited for that part.
Yeah, great. Thank you. All right. So here we are.
I wanted to say too, I agree with us, and I think that the 3 calls in the end are going to be the most important thing of all in this whole entire process, and that the more people that show up to those 3 calls, the more action is going to take place. That's all.
Yeah, great point, Niles. Appreciate that. So again, let us know if you want to join those calls. Put in the chat roll, email us, let us know if you want to join so we can make sure you're on the list. We will let everybody know that's an opportunity by email too. So again, welcome back everyone. So we are moving into our last session. Gosh, that's a lot of slides there for a second. So for those of you who weren't in session 3, welcome back. Maybe there's just a few people. We're going to invite you to rename yourself, or we'll rename you in just a moment. If you hover your mouse or your cursor, tap your picture, you should get 3 dots and you can rename yourself. You can do that in participants as well to let us know which goal you'd like to focus on between the 4 goal areas. As we did in session 3, we're going to try to ensure even distribution of folks between the 4 goals. So you're welcome to go to a new goal if you want to. You're welcome to stay in the same goal. That's really up to you. If we don't have any community members for a goal, we might ask some people to move between goals. So just know that that is a possibility. As we move into the action planning, action detailing, we want to encourage you as you work with your facilitator to spell out acronyms, to think about who the actions are for, to think about if you might identify a potential lead or a supporting cast member, someone to help make the action and goal a reality. Do you know that person, or could you reach out to them and maybe think about what connections might be in place so that we can loop folks in? So we're not just assigning folks who aren't here, but how you can move an action idea forward as well. And this is a really key part of the overall process, because this is really where the concrete details come into play. So with that being said, are there any questions from anyone before we start getting ready to move folks into the small groups? Any questions from anyone on process? Your facilitators will be the same ones again, and we'll let you know where we're headed. We're going to be working in the same Google Doc. So Jessica has put the 4 goals into the chat roll. So if they're not at the top of your mind, just take a look there. And Jessica, could you put the Google Doc in the chat roll as well? So you're also welcome to work in the Google Doc on your own, and we'll be able to screen share it too. Any questions from anyone? Concerns, ideas before we get ready to break out into the breakout rooms? All right, our goal is to come back by 7:15. So we have the last bit of time closing. So we'll have about an hour in those breakout rooms. And just I want to encourage folks to remember to do jumping jacks if you need be, do a little yoga together as a group. It's late. It's been 2 days of a workshop. So keep your energy up and encourage each of you to, keep your energy up together, because it's the good stuff we're getting ready to head into here. So with that being said, for our participants, I see some people rolling their shoulders. Good work, everybody. Does anybody need help renaming themselves? Just looking through the list. Betty, how about you? Which goal would you like to be with, Betty?
I was with goal 4, and I'll stay with that goal.
Okay, great. Jessica, can you rename folks again, please? Thank you. Alrighty. Des, where would you like to head between the 4 goals?
Looking at them now, sorry.
No worries, we'll come back to you.
Okay.
Does anybody want to go to a different goal or need help renaming yourself with the goals that you have listed, the number listed beside your name? Okay, Des, where do you want to head?
can do 1. That's fine, I guess.
Okay. And Niles, how about you?
1.
We're going to need some 1 folks, and maybe, well, we have, John, where would you like to go?
I thought I was already in 1.
You might be, I just might not be able to see your number.
Oh, okay.
All right, so Danelle needs to go at 7. Danelle's in 3, Jennifer's in 4, Betty's in 4.
Do we have enough local people in group 4?
We have Julie and I just saw another person in 4, Jacob. That's 2 people. Anybody else want to move from 1 to 4? Any local community members around an ethnic restaurant row for goal 4?
Yes, could you take that one? I think that would be good for you to lay in. I'm in goal 1, and I'll handle the bridge stuff there if it pops up. I think 4 will be a good one we could lay into as well, if you want.
Sounds good.
Okay, great. All right, awesome. So Des is headed to 4. Great. Anybody else need to be renamed or renumbered? Jumping jacks? Okay, so again, remember you'll move to a different space. You'll have to accept the invitation to move to breakout rooms. I'll send a message to everybody. I'll broadcast a message. Hopefully you'll see it to come back about 7:15. Any questions or concerns from anybody before we break? Again, the Google Doc is in the chat roll. It's going to take me just a moment to open up the breakout rooms. Okay. Someone can tell a story while I'm doing this. Your best joke. It's a great time for jokes. Your favorite exercise.
Why didn't the cantaloupe, oh, I messed up. Why didn't the fruit get married?
Why?
It cantaloupe.
That answer was given away right away.
It was.
Right away.
That's even funnier.
I love it. All right, Julie, are you okay coming to group? Do you want to be in group 3 or group 4? We have Danelle, Julie, Kelly, and myself in 3. Is that okay? Or do you want to go to 4?
Doesn't matter. Put me wherever you need me.
All right, I think I'm going to see if you could come to 3 for the moment. Does that sound good to everybody?
Yeah.
All right. Jennifer, text me if you need anything to change with your group. Sound good? Anybody need anything?
What group is Amy in?
Amy is in 2.
Oh, okay.
Okay, anybody want to change? All right. See you soon. You'll have to accept now. All right, folks are coming back. Megan, your name was just mentioned in our group. Here you are.
I'm here. Was I in the wrong group? Hopefully not.
No, nope, you are just implicated for potential action.
Oh,
love it. I know. Kelly will share what the thoughts are in just a few minutes. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you had
Group 2, I'm sorry, I didn't mention one of you is going to have to report out, and we didn't identify who it is. So be thinking about which one of you wants to summarize our discussion.
I wouldn't mind doing that.
Welcome back. Okay, great. So we have
That'd
group
be
1,
awesome.
group 2, group 3, group 4. Okay, everybody, I see Ariane stretching. We have 38 minutes left. Do your jumping jacks. Do, your yoga. Keep it moving. Keep your energy up, whatever you need to do. Hi, everybody. Again, your babies and animals are welcome, but drink some water. Great idea to stay hydrated. So welcome back. Great discussion. So thoughtful across the board. I am going to share my screen again. Did folks have a good breakout meeting?
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Will said yes. That's good.
Yep.
All right. So
Absolutely.
can you see my screen, folks? Great.
Mm-hmm.
So which goal would like to start first? Who would like to start sharing your ideas? We started with goal 1 yesterday, goal 4 earlier in session 3. Would goal 2 or goal 3 like to jump in first?
To go.
Yes.
Get it? Yeah.
Awesome. So goal 2.
Yeah, if you could go to slide 11 and we can just go, if it's okay, Jessica, do you think that's a good idea? Just talk through that graph. So our goal is, the goal that we were working on and discussing was to, sorry, I couldn't see down here, to improve access to and demand for fresh nutritional foods for residents in the South Allison Hill neighborhood. So before the break, like we were able to speak with Gloria, who's the owner of the Latino organization center there in South Allison Hill, and she had a lot of, unfortunately she's not here this evening to be a part of the conversation with us, but she had a lot of really great ideas in session 1 that we kind of just emphasize more upon here in filling out the graph. So the first part of the goal is to listen to and survey local bodegas, grocers, etc., to understand what's been tried before and what the needs are. What are the bodega owners ready and willing to do towards the goal of providing fresh, healthy foods? So it's just asking, like, what is this? Why is it important? There's sources of food that people can walk to, and it's a convenient source for like healthy food to be offered. They're ready distribution points. They're right there. A lot of people that live in that neighborhood are going to be walking, and those are the stores that they go to purchase, their daily foods anyways. So it's really very important to listen to the corner store owners and the business owners, as like that's the primary first step. It's just being very open to whatever it is that they want to share. Integrating fresh, healthy foods into needs to be culturally sensitive and culturally specific. And I think a lot of our discussion was just around the reality that changing nutrition habits, it's a slow, gradual process. We need patience. It takes time to make any, huge changes in life. So I don't think that we have any expectation of this just, being something that skyrockets exactly into the vision that we're looking at, but we're knowing, like, taking slow, steady steps. So it says there's no marketing of healthy foods at the corner store, and would training be helpful? Some of the discussions we have, maybe having some initiative or kickbacks. We'd measure success of this. Near-term success would be identifying the next steps based on what we get from the surveys. And an example would be pursuing funds for, perhaps after the surveys we find that there's not enough refrigeration units in some of these corner stores and they need like the funding for that. So we have these discussions with the business owners. We see what it is that is lacking or what they need, what we could do to partner with them in order to provide fresh, like, local produce. So once we get that information through the surveys, then we look up different grant deadlines, really making sure that we help the business owners to obtain them, making sure that we have a list of, like, the deadlines so that we can be of assistance to the business owners and helping them to get, what they need in order to, like, work into a partnership of, help for the community. I volunteered to be a lead role in this. I have already started talking to some of the business owners. I would like to find, I'm like semi-bilingual, but I'm not fully confident in my Spanish. So I would love to find somebody who is bilingual. Would love to find somebody who, is familiar with those stores, and obviously who lives in Harrisburg. It'd be great, Allison Hill, to just help with this. And then the supporting, I can't see that there. We were just saying that I'm sure there would be people back in the workshop for the supporting cast, like the different organizations, the different nonprofits that are represented here. We weren't volunteering anybody in the supporting cast. I think it was just like, well, this organization might want to help and this organization might want to help. For the needs and resources, we're looking at an example from Philadelphia where the store owners host education programs on how to eat and cook healthy foods. I don't know if it's a store owner, if they have an outside source come in and do that. I think that's a great idea, especially in the summer, to be out there and just, like, showing people, how we can make healthy food delicious. So we talked about, there's an initiative called the PA Healthy Corner Store. We just really discussed, like, things that we can research further after this workshop and into, like, the after phone calls. So the second part of this goal is to inventory the nutritional and gardening educational programs that currently exist to identify the program's goals, locations, target populations, and demographics. So there's various organizations that offer educational programming on nutrition gardening. The programs may or not be available or easily accessible to Allison Hill residents. So again, you know, like the theme is an inventory of what programs currently exist would be a starting point to identify how many programs could be tailored to Allison Hill residents. Yeah, so it's just somebody taking the lead in, you know, being responsible for finding all of the different community gardening programs, all the different nutritional programs, and, you know, just doing that sort of data work that needs done. We're giving ourselves like hopefully 3 months. That's the goal for that. And, you know, the resources we need is just connections to organizations to offer these programs. We had some ideas of different organizations like Penn State. Again, like a lot of the supporting cast are just ideas that we kind of threw out there and figured we could talk more in the workshop or in the after calls about. So the third part of this goal is to convene a focus group of Allison Hill residents to identify challenges and gaps in the nutritional and gardening education programs that do currently exist. So once we find all of the programs, and just beyond that, you know, we gather the community members that are willing to or want to be heard, want to join us, you know, and we just like have a discussion. So many of the existing programs offering nutrition education and gardening have had limited success in Allison Hill, and that's something that Gloria shared with us. You know, it's been tried before. We just want to see like, what can we do different? Like, what do you feel is like what's missing? You know, so just really having that conversation. And the only thing that we feel could be potentially like a barrier to that is COVID, you know, and just gathering a large group of people. So there's the option of Zoom potentially. So we're giving ourselves a little bit longer on that goal because it's going to take time to see like where the community members want to meet, how we can meet, you know, actually get out and have the discussions with them. So the same group that's going to be inventorying the programs is also going to kind of just be taking this into this next step of the goal. And then the resources, of course, would be like Zoom, and we have to figure out ways to invite people, community-wide promotion, community groups, reaching out to core members. I don't, you know, I think getting something in the mail, a lot of time people will just put that aside. So just doing something creative to, you know, try to have the community members come out and join us and have a conversation. So the last part of this goal would be to identify ways to tailor the programs to better reach the Allison Hill residents, and then to close the gaps that we're talking, like that we're going to be discussing, you know, of the programs that were discovered in the last two parts of the goal, which is actions 2 and 3 in the goal. So like examples like languages offered could be barriers, culturally appropriate recipes, times, topics, covered locations. Just really, I think the main part of this goal is having a really like personal, intimate, you know, conversation with the residents of Allison Hill and seeing like what it is that like has been missing in, you know, in the past, and just letting like their voices kind of be like our guide to what our next steps are. So yeah, it just kind of goes through. I don't feel like I have to read it all the way through. You guys can see it. Hopefully Gloria, you know, we'll speak to her and see if she seems very enthusiastic about it. So we're really excited that she was able to join us for this call. And then the last part of it is something that like I think we can discuss more in the after calls, but it's something that I know that I'm pretty sure the representations from Hamilton Health are in agreement with the collaboration to have an on-site pharmacy where the physicians can write prescriptions for fresh local food. I know this is a discussion that has been happening for a while, and there's different programs that like offer a similar sort of outreach, if you will, that Amy was in our group, and she was telling us she's with the Central PA Food Bank, so they're volunteering to be of support in that. And I just think there's lots of work to still do, but it was really great to be able to get this out and to have a little bit of a foundational plan for moving forward. So, thank you.
Questions for goal 2? A lot of great work there. Look at those ideas. Wonderful report out, Arian. That's awesome. So snaps for goal 2, claps for goal 2, fun reactions. What questions do folks have for goal 2? Anyone? I can see people signing up to help out. Thoughts from anybody or questions? All right. So good job, goal 2. All right, Kelly, you ready to go on to goal 3?
Can you give me 1 second?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Do you want us to go to goal 1 and then we'll come to goal 3?
Yeah, could you do that? Thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. No problem. All right, so let's go up to goal 1. And then we'll come down to goal 3 and then goal 4. So who would like to report out for goal 1? Will, did you decide as a group who's reporting out?
Oh, so George, we talked about George, but I think we were asking if maybe Gary or Niles.
I did earlier, and I think it would be good somebody else do it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Cool. Gary, Niles, who wants to report out for goal 1?
Sorry, I would, but I'm tied up with Genesis at the moment.
Oh, okay.
Do we still have Niles? I don't see Niles on here.
Yep, I guess I'll do it here.
Okay.
All right. So goal 1 is specific action is to examine and compare the Bridge Eco Village and Food Accelerator concept from the Brownfield area-wide plan to identify overlaps and any gaps of community need that would require a separate facility from the bridge. What is this? Why is it important? The bridge has a comprehensive plan for the Eco Village project. This is a need to coordinate with that vision and identify any gaps between concepts. There may be opportunities for different concepts to exist and coordinate. We'll continue to coordinate with the community on the Eco Village engagement process. How do we measure success? We secure funding through grants. The bridge is a grant writer and lenders through post-workshop coordination. The time frame is immediate. Well, it's post-workshop coordination between local places steering committee and the bridge. The short term would be determine community needs to integrate into the Eco Village or as a coordinated partner. And the short term with the bridge exclusively is December 2020 development plan for the Eco Village site, and long term for the bridge is construction of the Eco Village in the summer of 2022. The lead role in this is you can see the people and the cast there. And there's a bunch of different links we have here from our friend at the USDA, Ron. He's been really putting them on us today. So there's a few of them. The second one would be, change this or something, to establish a commercial kitchen as a core component of the food hub, accelerator concept, or Eco Village, in which tied to action 1 is action 2. There could be 2 actions, one kitchen concept for the homeless and the other for entrepreneurship. The homeless and, just like less fortunate people in the community, people that are food insecure, people that could use an extra boost of, a little food package every week or month or whatever. The bridge has a commercial kitchen as part of the Eco Village to examine opportunities in that location versus other concepts. The location is critical. The bridge would like to examine other locations as well. This is a parallel effort for a commercial kitchen in a church basement and building of Christ Community Service. I'm not sure the name of the church. It's on 14th and Dairy Street. So the next year is to find urban agricultural opportunities in the neighborhood, establish a feasibility of a commercial kitchen, coordinate with local churches to determine options for moving forward with feeding homeless and less fortunate people. Immediate is post-workshop coordination between steering committee and the bridge. Short-term is to determine community needs to integrate into the Eco Village or as a community partner. And the short and long terms are also the development plan and long-term construction of the Eco Village. And another short-term plan is to coordinate faith-based group determination for moving forward, which would just be reaching out to the churches to try to make this whole thing link up. The people involved here and the links at the end. The next one is consider the corner stores and bodegas to sell local produce as supply points that are accessible within walking distance to people in the local community, especially those who have limited transportation options. The location is critical. Local businesses can serve as access points to locally grown food while helping to support stores and bodegas. This action will help locally grown food penetrate local markets. We coordinate with local businesses to determine feasibility and willingness to participate. Establish a locally grown food market with local businesses, and immediately the time frame here. And I agreed to talk with the restaurants. It's funny because Ari agreed to talk with them in another goal, and her and I. Anyway, so and then the steering committee is going to help out this a lot, and the farmers market people. It's Allison Hill Farmers Market, but the Tri-County Community Action could help, and there's a few different people in the community. Relationships with local businesses and materials that show benefits to local businesses, some things we need. Number 4, examine potential satellite locations and season extension to the farmers market. This action could include a year-round market. The market also include local businesses, small producers in that space to keep it viable. Identify locations for the farmers market. Coordinate with local urban growers. The timeframes are short-term with 3 months. Coordinate with the bridge to determine opportunities for growth. Midterm is 6 months. Coordinate with the farmers market on expansion and determine the need and feasibility. That would also include the Broad Street market. The long term, within 1 year, is to find a location for the extension of the farmers market. And some points of interest are Tri-County Community Action ladies that have been helping, and just some contacts, and then the links at the end there.
All right, Niles, way to roll through that. That was awesome. Thank you.
I hope I captured all that accurately, gentlemen. Let me know if there's anything I misrepresented.
I think it sounded great.
Great.
All dudes? All guys?
Well, I would add this. I think what we're going to boil down is to really take 2 concepts that have been talked a lot: the farmers market and a commercial kitchen, as being a site-based thing in South Allison Hill. I know it's going to be at the Eco Village too, but we talked about those 2 concepts in South Allison Hill, and go to, really vet it again with the community and with the restaurants and everything, and say, look, if this was here in South Allison Hill, as well as at Eco Village, would you, would it matter? Would you rather go there? Does it matter? Does location matter for these 2 things? Vet it, and then really go with it and look at these 2 ventures with the small growers and aggregating and all the produce from small growers and making it marketable in to the whole community, and making it profitable in that way. So sort of combining all the resources of small growers and all the produce of small growers and making it profitable. And making this venture profitable, because it has to be a profitable venture to succeed. And I think another thing we talked about too is just, reimagining how Restaurant Row may, how they may have to apply their wares with COVID, and maybe this food aggregation, the center at the Coca-Cola building or wherever, can be a different way of distributing food to larger and bigger markets, through delivery and things like that. So making the small producers profitable and making a profit while doing that.
Anything else?
I was just going to say that I need to actually step off the call. But I wanted to say that it was really a pleasure working with you all this afternoon, and just really appreciate the energy, and you all are a great group. And I mean, from what I've seen, I don't see any reason why you all can't accomplish what you want to do. I have a lot of great energy, and I really appreciate it, and had a lot of fun with you all. And I hope you got a lot out of this as well.
Yeah, thank you, Will.
Thank you.
Well, I hope your public hearing goes well tonight, Will.
Yeah.
We just can't get enough.
On to the next going to a planning commission meeting.
Awesome. All right, have fun, Will. Thank you.
Thanks. All right.
All right, awesome. Any questions for goal 1 before we roll on to goal 3? All right, so goal 3, Danelle, Kelly, myself, and Julie for the first half, until Julie was pulled into goal 4, had a good conversation, and the conversation will continue with the post-workshop calls. There's a lot of sensitivity around goal 3, and we had good conversations, and we're mid-process. Does that sound fair to say, Kelly? in terms of identifying what some of the next steps are. So Danelle just had to drop off the call a few minutes ago, but we had a lot of good conversation. And Kelly, I'll turn it over to you to report out for goal 3.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I loved hearing the other reports because we talked about so many things that were in those as well. Particularly just going to emphasize once again the farmers market. We talked about this at the very end of our little breakout session, and really utilizing the farmers market since it was such a success as an example of how we can do this. So I had to put that in there. All right.
Yeah,
so
no, that's good. I think that's up here. Yeah, great.
Okay, so we talked about really having the buy-in of the city of Harrisburg support local food systems and not just have it be like a mouthpiece type, like, oh yeah, lip service, but really, really create supportive pathways either through legislation or policy for urban growers to acquire land without the risk of losing it, and needing a resolution of support. So, you know, as we all know, you work so hard as a farmer, and then to, you know, build your soil and build your beds or your beehives or whatever, and then have it all taken away is really heart crushing. So we spoke about, I guess, that many of the lots are owned by the city. So if we don't have that buy-in from them, the lots are lost, and as I said, it's really it's a really heart-crushing thing. So Adopt a Lot is a 1-year commitment, and then we started to talk about land access for Black, Indigenous people of color, and we started on that, and we had it in our first action, and then we pulled it out for another action because it's a huge problem that the land access is not there, and that's kind of a whole other thing that we could get into. So we did pull that out as another action, but I'm going to go back up if I can to action 1 and just finish that. So we want to start on getting this, you know, what I said is we need to know these Adopt a Lot programs and inside and out, so that when we go to talk to people and if we go to lobby to get these leases longer, that we know what we're talking about. So we need to start now when it isn't the growing season. And we came up with our some people who could help us were Richard Martinez. He's part of Harrisburg Urban Growers, as well as the Environmental Advisory Committee in the city. Jennifer and Joe Arthur of Central Pennsylvania Food Bank, as well as the coordinator of the city for the sustainable coordinator, Chris Naffey, talking about how also South Allison Hill Business Association maybe want to go in with us on this. Yes, so that was that was a very long conversation of, so we need to identify who we want to speak with at the city and develop a comprehensive knowledge set about the program. Okay, number 2, we also spoke very briefly about creating a commercial kitchen. And starting this small perhaps even this fall, having like a pop-up processing opportunity, since there is so much produce still out there. You know, there's tons of tomatoes and peppers and garlic and everything. So, you know, perhaps just doing a salsa making. And we were thinking about reaching out to Megan from Salvation Army or Gloria Merrick, and utilizing the Salvation Army kitchen and contacting Gloria for perhaps their kitchen. And then at some point reaching out to other churches who have commercial kitchens. So we definitely want to have, like, you know, the bridge at the Eco Village would have one. But in the meantime, or, you know, wherever we are thinking about putting the food accelerator, but in the meantime, you know, utilizing what we already have. And not waiting so long term. Like, this is something that could be done relatively quickly. And doing it just even this fall or this winter to engage people to get excited about these programs is something that, you know, not just putting it way off. And then seeing, like, having those residents in the community, if they get excited about it, then they would tell other people, and then we could put it into, you know, have a more solid program with it. But kind of having a pop-up processing we talked about for this fall.
Great. Kelly, is it okay with you if I go to the next slide? We have just 11 minutes left. So for the rest of our goal and go forward, I have to roll a little quicker because we have a couple fun closing things too. Okay. Let me see, what did we do? So developing a roadmap for urban agriculture. So this kind of, we already, Julie spoke about how we do have a lot of this already done. So maybe just really taking a look at it and going from there. So we know kind of where the gardens are, where some of our resources are. We spoke about knowing what our target audience needs. Like, what training do they need? Like, if you just offer a training and nobody shows up, well, that's probably because they didn't want that training. Reaching out to the community across all the actions that we would do to see what their needs are. I kind of just spoke to both of those. Let's see if I go over. We also really talked about having somebody that was going to help us write these grants. All of these programs, whether it's, you know, having the commercial kitchen and having pressure cookers and cans and lids for people, all these things are going to, or, you know, having the soil, if you do have an adopt-a-lot, all these things need financial assistance, and having a strong grant writer that's committed to the program is really, really important. And just sitting down also, this was what we didn't talk about this time, but identifying lessons that we learned from failed past experiences, because I know a lot of us who've been involved with the community gardens and starting food systems over the past 20 years, some of the things have worked, some of the things haven't, so not repeat past mistakes. I think that's kind of it. And I already spoke to developing the long-term land access for Black, Indigenous, people of color. Okay, thanks, Kelly. Complicated, important, sensitive conversations that were really thoughtfully considered by the group. Any questions for goal 3 from anyone? All right, thank you, Kelly. All right, let's move on to goal 4. We have a couple minutes for goal 4, and then we'll look at our next steps. So Jennifer, over to you and your group for goal 4.
This is Des. I'll try to speed through this for you guys. The first thing we did was address the name of the area as we wanted to call it. It was Ethnic Restaurant Row. We addressed that and figured we could just make it Allison Hill Restaurant Row. We didn't see any issue with that and specifically calling it South Allison Hill, but there was kind of like no one really had an opinion on whether it should be South or just Allison Hill. So that's up for change if someone designates it so. Our first point was engaging restaurants and other stakeholders. Some of the other people who already talked kind of touched on some of this stuff, but obviously we want to capitalize on the diversity of the community, existing restaurants that reflect the different cultures. It's important to engage community that will be impacted by, what's going on and gathering their input to know who's all going to be affected. The way that we can measure success, we talked about building a critical mass of support for concept, also identifying a target like a percentage of businesses or a specific number. So the time frame on that end we figured this can actually happen fairly quickly. It might even be quicker than 3 to 6 months, obviously, because you could start engaging right away if you had someone able to do that. You'd have to be cognizant of COVID and what's going on right now and be safe about it, but obviously it's something that you can get done pretty quickly. We talked about who the potential lead was, HRA, Tri-County, HUG. So these are just, again, we kind of, just like everybody else, we just threw suggestions out. On the supporting cast, I threw in the name for the bridge, given the fact that we do have a fairly large network in the area between Milton Hershey, alumni, teachers, and then people who we know went to the school there who are now based in Harrisburg or have friends and family in Harrisburg. We've already created quite a network there, and we can help to tap into that to kind of gauge some of this, some of that data. And then we talked about also, utilizing social media platforms and using the people we do get in connection with to bridge to other connections. So don't just, touch on one person and then kind of go to the next, see if they have any contacts they could point us in the direction of. Marketing and branding effort. This is huge, obviously, for these businesses. You want to make sure that they have, increased visibility and they are driving their business, pushing up sales, things of that nature. We were talking about what could be the possible measures of success would be increased customers and sales, 6 months to a year, because even if you did find someone to help with the marketing or branding effort, it would probably take a little bit longer of a time to coordinate with that with all the businesses and maybe even individually go and help them secure things such as social media or websites so that people had access to them without having to be walking past the business and hopefully just know what it is. As far as lead, we talked about Chamber of Commerce and seeing if there was a Penn State extension where we could actually have some Penn State students maybe do a program where they're actually providing this service to these companies for credits for the school, something of that nature. Thought that was a great idea. And then community residents could be a great idea of support here because people who have been to these restaurants can do a good job of word of mouth and pushing social media content as well. And then existing restaurants and businesses, they could help each other out. So just kind of help the entire network once they're all on board with the idea of getting this thing going. And then again, like the resources and stuff like that would have been social media, website, local community, and developing like campaign and design materials. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh yeah, so another good point of that was obviously making sure that you're combating the negative perceptions of the neighborhood, because I know that you guys had spoken about this, the safety concerns would be something they would want to address through the marketing as well. So promote the use of vacant storefront space as a low or no rent space for food entrepreneurs who are going through incubator program. So the obvious is that this helps businesses save money and get food in the door. Activation of vacant spaces is sustainable, right? And reinvestment in the community. So that one's pretty straightforward. And then as far as, what the metrics you'll be looking at, you'd be setting a target for vacant storefronts occupied, like a percentage, and then number of businesses who launch into brick and mortar locations, and maybe even measure the average rent of those spaces in comparison to the existing businesses in the area to see if you actually are saving these entrepreneurs and these businesses a little bit of money by moving into those spaces. That would take a lot longer. There's a lot that goes into that, you know, securing it, those people going through the incubator process, them securing funding, having, you know, design teams come in and the lot. So more than a year, obviously, for most of that. City planning department could lead this, maybe the city government agencies like Land Bank. The bridge actually has the community real estate fund, so we look to be purchasing some of the real estate in the surrounding area in Allison Hill as well, and then having that as the community real estate and kind of building that back in. So as we push people through the incubator space that we'll have at our location, we could actually transport them right into these spaces potentially, maybe at a discount as well. And then, yeah, so you need willing property owners, you need incubator program, tax credits, and construction. So
Awesome.
that was it for us.
Awesome. Goal 4, rocking it out. Awesome. Let's give some claps, snaps. Rolling around for goal 4. Awesome. Goal 4, way to go. So way to, you know, pull together ideas in a really strong way across the board, everyone. So I really want to congratulate you. You've spent a lot of time and energy really having very strongly considered ways and ideas to move things forward. So what we want to invite as we get ready to wrap up this evening is to invite each of you to put into the chat roll one offer. What's one thing that you would like to offer? One thing you'd like to provide to advance the action plan. So one offer in the chat roll, and what's one ask that you have? What's one hope or expectation from the process moving forward? So I encourage you just to get your fingers moving one last time here, maybe almost one last time, and pop in the chat roll some offers and some asks as we get ready to wind down our workshop. Let's see, a couple ideas starting to come in. Good resources actually coming in. So offers and asks, what are some ideas you have? Right, so my time and support for moving to implementation. I second Ron's offer. Great, Sasha and Ron are offering their work, their time and support in moving to implementation, continued engagement. What are some other offers and asks? To work on assigned parts of the process. Time, great. What a wonderful, generous offer of time. Connecting to the food bank and farmers market contacts to get the right people contributing to success. Awesome. Everyone stays engaged and implements, and it doesn't stop after tonight. Great. I'd like to continue to be part of reaching out to businesses and support. Awesome for other actions. And I asked there may be some other members here to volunteer to help us create the surveys for businesses. Great. Can I ask the steering committee meetings to not be during the workday? Yes, good point. Right now, I think they're all during the workday. If we need to redoodle, we can redoodle. How about others? We can't see you. Anybody, do we need to redoodle for some steering committee meetings in the evening or late afternoon? At least one of them, thumbs up, yes, no, maybe. Looks like Megan's saying yes. Okay, so it looks like, great, TCCA can help. So if folks would like to, so I want to encourage you to continue putting those offers and asks into the chat roll. Megan, that was a great, example of an ask. So redoodle for some times in the evening. So way to make it happen. Yes, we can definitely do that. If you'd like to continue to be involved as you continue to put these offers and asks in the chat roll, let us know if you'd like to be on the steering committee. We'll email the whole list and ask that question too. So if you don't put it here, that's totally fine. But we really do welcome your active continued engagement. It's a big ask and a long-term process. So Great. Oh, look, what a beautiful closing to help in any way transform Harrisburg from food desert to food oasis. That's a very strong visual there. So I'm excited to help continue to make that happen too. With that being said, Jessica, could you go ahead and put the day 2 survey into the chat roll, please? We are going to wrap up with our, I know people have, it is bedtime for kiddos. We are almost there. So moving forward, so we have some great offers and asks. You're welcome to continue putting those in the chat roll. Here we are. We've had workshop bliss. We've had some workshop learning in the last few days, and now we're moving forward to our post-workshop calls. You all know that. They're currently scheduled for November 5th, November 19th, December 4th. There's been a request for some, maybe redoodling. So we'll share that information, but I don't want to, say those are the definite dates yet, since there's been a request for some evening hours. This is, again, just a continuation point. So the final community action plan will take continued conversation and engagement and action. So this is certainly not an ending point, but it does mark the transition from the steering committee really being the local stewards of the action plan moving forward from here. So that's a really key role and a really great opportunity for each of you to continue to be engaged. So you've shown a tremendous amount of energy and investment and time, and we invite that to continue. We'll also, so again, your feedback is really helpful. Jennifer, do you want to mention the day 2 survey as well as the Facebook group? And is it in the chat roll?
Sure.
Awesome.
So yes, I think it's in the chat roll, the link for the survey for day 2. If it only takes like 5 minutes of your time, if you can fill that out, it really helps EPA, USDA think about how we deliver our technical assistance moving forward. So if you can take just a few minutes to fill it out while everything is fresh in your mind, that would be great. And also the Facebook group, is a great resource. As I mentioned, you'll see lots of our previous communities who have received the assistance, our members, and are always posting articles that, you may find helpful. So it's a great resource and encourage you to sign up. So thank you, everyone. And thanks to our TA team, Christine and Jessica and Will. Great job facilitating. So,
yeah, thanks, Jennifer. So we have these fun QR codes. Again, you can just hold your phone up with the camera and it will take you immediately here to the Facebook page. And on the page before, which I'll go back to, it'll take you to the survey. Jessica's put that in the chat roll. We will share the notes. The recordings we'll share. The chat roll resources that have been shared, we'll save and share out. That's been a question. So you'll get all this information as part of the package. So that will all be coming. And we encourage you to keep up the conversation and continue the connections that you've made. If you met somebody new or a new connection or resource, to reach out in this very funny year of 2020 and keep things rolling forward with the inspiration hitting high for local food in Harrisburg and South Allison Hill, because that's what will continue to grow those connections. Jessica, anything else that you want to add in terms of this point forward before we get ready to wrap up?
Thank you, everybody, for your time and your energy. I have no doubt that Harrisburg is going to achieve its goals, and you're going to do it. You are the ones who are going to do it. So it's been a pleasure. I think I mentioned at the beginning of this workshop that I grew up in South Central Pennsylvania, so I am definitely making a stop next time I visit my parents to the Allison Hill Farmers Market, and I can't wait to check in with you all 6 months, a year from now, and see what you all have achieved. So congratulations.
Yeah, big congratulations. Thank you, everyone. Again, we'll continue on. Thank you, Jennifer, for all your leadership, and federal state partners. Thanks to all of you. We're going to stay on the line for a few minutes if anybody has any feedback or questions. If you need to put your kids in bed, no problem, including TA team if you need to roll, no worries. I'll stay on for a little bit if anybody has any questions or debrief. Anything else before we wrap up tonight? Gary again shared the bridge link, video, YouTube link at the beginning of our chat roll, so check that out. Anything else before we wrap up today? All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night. Great work, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye. I love the reactions. The party icon, I have to say,
Me too.
is one of my very favorite ones across the board. So, yeah. Hey, George. Hey, John. Hey, Gary. Hey, Jennifer. Jessica, you found the heart. I didn't know there was a heart, actually. There is a heart. Any thoughts, reflection, closing points before we wrap up today?
No, thank you so much. It was wonderful. Thank you for shepherding us. And my goodness, all the connections we've made. We're going to achieve some really good things here. And yeah, no, I just so appreciate this resource. I think, Gary, I'm glad to see you're still here. I just want to think we're really going to take this forward and go far with, you know, making as you say, making the food desert into a food oasis. No, thank you guys. A wonderful, great job. All the resources and the different grants and different and the connections. It's been great.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. This was very lovely. I enjoyed it.
Cool. Great. Awesome. Jennifer, Jessica, anything else?
No, I mean, thanks, George, for pulling everyone together, and I think it was a great group, and you know, hopefully we'll hear a lot more good things on the calls 4, 5, and 6. So look forward to continuing. So.
Yeah. George, any concerns with us redoodling for those evening times? I think, you know, since there's been a request for it, I think it makes sense for at least, even if we have, you know, I'm happy to do a call 7 with people, even if everybody can't do it, but I think we need to offer some evening times for
I
folks.
totally agree. I agree.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, so I'm so glad. I feel like we ended on a real high energy note, which I'm really thankful for, but we also had some real good and needed conversations on day 1, which I think were just real and important. And I think that the key to transformation is in the struggle, I feel like, just so often. So I think it's needed. Gary, were you going to say something?
Yeah, for the 3 extra calls, are you guys going to send out the information for that?
I think we'll probably send out first, you know, with all just the recordings and slides, info that's easy to send out, a request for anybody who wants to be on the contact list moving forward. And then we'll probably send out a doodle poll for that. We may stay with our, you know, we have right now a Thursday, November 5th from 9 to 10:30. We probably should keep that one, because if we don't keep some momentum going, we'll hit the holiday rush pretty soon, and then momentum always tanks. So my suggestion is we at least keep that first, you know, we have the November 5th and November 19th, potentially those calls on the books for people, and then see about adding another call or 2 in the evening hours.
And were those Zoom calls?
What's that? Yeah, there'll be Zoom calls. Yep. Sound like a good plan, Jessica, Jennifer, George, to keep the November 5th and maybe the November 19th to keep the momentum going. At the same time, doodle for some evening sessions, maybe in the same time frame. So it's going to be an active November month for the plan continuing forward. But I do think if we wait too late, we'll just lose people's energy.
Oh, absolutely. So, I agree.
All right, great. So we'll go ahead
Gary,
and
I'll be connecting with you even earlier than that. You know, my boss, Brian Davis, or Redevelopment Authority, will connect with you. And also, so we have an EPA assessment grant that's continuing the work from the area-wide grant, and also trying to look into, you know, finding resources for the food accelerator and the different, you know, food concepts, actually going down Cameron Street and working on that area too. So we want to